The Secretary to the Treasury, Ramadhan Gobi, has revealed that the Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development has released over 6 trillion Ugandan shillings for this quarter, January to March. Explaining the performance of the economy in the past 2 quarters, Gobi highlights that the annual headline inflation has reduced to 10.2%. The shilling has been strengthening against the US dollar since September 2022. Interest rates have been going up since the start of the financial year. In spite of the monetary policy tightening, the stock of private sector credit has continued to grow.
The annual headline inflation, the one which measures changes in prices of all items, has been, as you know, on an upward trend since the start of this financial year. But now I should gladly announce that it has peaked. It has reached the top. It has stopped rising. In October, it was at 10.7%, but following our coordinated monetary and fiscal policy interventions by the Central Bank, Bank of Uganda, and ourselves here in the Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development, inflation has started to decline. In November, it reduced from 10.7 to 10.6%. In December last month, it further reduced to 10.2%. And projections are indicating that it is now going to go on a downward trend.
As at the end of the second quarter, the ministry had released 13 trillion Ugandan shillings, representing 52.7% of the approved discretionary budget.
At the end of the second quarter, that is December last year, this ministry had released a total of 13.693 trillion. This represents 52.7% of the approved discretionary budget. And this money was released in 4 major broad areas. Number 1, wage. We released 3.607 trillion out of the approved total wage of 6.375 trillion. This represents 56.6% of the money meant for wage. We have released it by the first half of the financial year. Of course, the slight increase in the wage release over and above the 50% which should have been the release was mainly for areas of enhancement, which was done, as I've told you before, when the budget had already been approved. But we have already released that money, which we have presented we are going to present to Parliament in a supplementary.
This quarter, January to March, 6 trillion Ugandan shillings has been released, representing 24.5% of the discretionary budget, and these releases will translate into a cumulative release of 77.16% of the approved discretionary budget.
This quarter runs from January, this month, up to March. And we have released a total of 6 trillion 369 billion and some million shillings, about 829 million. So we have released about 24.5% of the discretionary budget.